Yo, 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 what's up, Academy? So listen, Drake has won one of his battles in this legal battle with Kendrick Lamar and UMG. Drake just won this battle by gaining access to Kendrick's contract, gaining access to Kendrick's Spotify contract. So with this, he's going to be looking through the bots. He's going to be looking through everything. Me personally, I don't feel like he's going to find much. I feel like this is like a play where he's just trying to salvage the rest of his career. But let's get into this because they talking about he a little bit salty over Kendrick tour being sold out, which ain't no surprise.
Now, for Drake, academics, and all of the losers around them who have been trying to push the narrative that Kendrick Lamar's hype is all faked and his tour is gonna flop. Well, for that clown show, it's all over, and no longer is the most desperate collection of people ever going to be able to get away with such major lies, because when it comes to Kendrick Lamar's upcoming Grand National Tour, well, for all 23 shows that Kendrick Lamar has on this opening leg of the tour, Kendrick is filling up every single building, and with this, from Drake's own city to his home, Kendrick is about to command live rapping and a hip-hop experience on a scale like no other artist has ever been able to, and now because of this, with Kendrick breaking even more records, Drake is really losing it. And now before we go any further into this and what all this means, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And so now with that said, when it comes to the Grand National Tour and Drake and academics' lies never looking more laughable for even thinking of them. Well, now as rap's first stadium tour since Jay-Z or Eminem is about to happen, we have gotten official news of the status of how these shows are doing, and specifically how many tickets Kendrick has been moving and filling up for what's about to come. And with what we have seen, I mean, if you were one of the people who thought that Kendrick was gonna flop with this tour, or you thought he couldn't do these types of venues, you must be feeling embarrassed right now, because with the 23 shows that Kendrick is doing on this first run, the tour's entire allotment of tickets has been 90% sold out, which in the music industry, anytime a tour is more than 90% filled at this point, they know that for the venues, the remaining tickets will end up filling out with people who decide to come near the last minute. And just breaking down how successful these shows are going to be even.
Not only that, they're gonna have a lot of resale value. So if it's 90% sold out already, them tickets is gonna be sky high. Like, you know, when you go to buy some tickets to a show and it was cheap at first or it was all right, but then you waited till it got close to the show and it was sky high. This is a prime example of how it happens. When you drop a tour and it sell out like that, and we ain't nowhere near the tour dates yet, yeah, by the time it's at the tour date, them tickets is gonna be 300% increase. Something crazy. Something crazy. Now, this is a North American tour. I don't know. We might have to fact check that a little bit of the last stadium tour being Jay-Z or Eminem. I'm not sure. It might, maybe. But I think Kanye West might have something to say about that. I think Travis Scott might have something to say about that. And honestly, Drake might have something to say about that. We gotta be fair and all this stuff. I don't know if Jay-Z and Eminem were the last stadium tours. I'm not sure.
Kendrick is going to be having 49,000 people who will be attending each show on average, and once again, while Drake and all the low-ranking OVO affiliates will continue to try and act like this is a flop or somehow spin whatever narrative they can to try and discredit the current king of rap, because as their own guy has given them nothing to root for, that's all they know how to do. Let's just remember that when it even comes to having this conversation that Kendrick is in right now, Drake or any other rapper ever for that matter cannot even get a seat at the table he's sitting at, unless of course we are talking about Jay or Eminem, who did co-headlining tours with people like Beyonce and Justin Timberlake in Jay's case, and Rihanna with Eminem. And again, just to put into perspective how up Kendrick really is, even in the biggest places that Drake performed at during any of his most recent tours, which once again, when they try to say that this tour is only successful because of SZA, because that's one of the only desperate ways they can even spin this whole thing left. Remember that Drake was co-headlining with everyone from Prime Future to the Migos to J. Cole to Lil Wayne to 21 Savage. Even with all this support, they were not even half of the size of the places that Kendrick Lamar is about to be performing in. And so with this, I mean, for all the ridiculous narratives and comments that all of OVO has been trying to get off about Kendrick and this entire tour, you can't keep it going. It's gotta stop, because you can no longer say that all the success Kendrick is getting is faked when during some of the shows he is moving up to 50 and 60,000 tickets in a single night. And again, as Kendrick is just playing within a building that Drake has never been able to even
60,000 tickets is insane. Yeah, 60,000 tickets is insane. Like, that's a That's a full basketball arena. That's like a full basketball arena. Like in football, like because you're gonna do stadiums, so a football stadium will get closer to like 100K holding, like 90K. But you're not gonna use that whole stadium. Like you might cut it off and like really just use like 3/4 of the stadium or even half of the stadium. Um, but 50K is like a full arena. But on the arena side, you don't use the full arena. Like you would use half the arena. So like if an arena hold like 60K, you probably only gonna sell like 35,000 tickets out of the arena. So yeah, he doing numbers, baby.
Get it, and if he tried to, at this point, he would just be embarrassed. Altogether, if you even try and discredit this milestone, you are clearly showing that you are doing and saying anything to try and defend Drake, because if you really are trying to spin somebody selling out an entire stadium tour in a genre where only 2 other artists have done something close to this, and even in the greater sense, in an industry right now where only a handful of artists are doing this as well, which when you break down the list of artists who have stadium tours currently, Kendrick is in a select group with a handful of artists industry-wide. And again, if you were trying to discredit somebody who is at this level, you just can't be taken seriously, especially when if we make Drake follow through with his words and remember that no matter how much he tries to hide this, he did cancel the remaining dates of his Anita Max tour, which tells us that Drake was struggling to fill up stadiums that are more than half the size smaller of most of the venues that Kendrick is going to. So again, when it comes to proving that you are a top tier talent in music and also a top
I would say with the Anita Max tour, we covered this on my channel, maybe 4 uploads ago. He was out of pocket for that Anita Max tour. He's been doing this at the end of all of his tours. It wasn't that he couldn't sell it. He was actually being a little scummy with it. He actually just doesn't like doing the end of his tours. He actually just goes home at the end of his tours. I don't know if he's receiving his front end and just don't care about the back end or what. But at the end of the Anita Max tour, he kind of left the promoter with pie on his face trying to explain to everybody that this is going to be okay and we still going to keep it going just at a later date. The later date ain't coming. So he just went home at the end of that tour because he wanted to, really, because they had it scheduled for him to finish the tour a week later. He just didn't want to be there. He went home and never came back. Everything was scheduled for that Anita Max tour. So I look at that as something of just being scummy towards your fans, honestly. Because these are people, like if you sold the tickets over there, these are people that are supporting you through your situation. Boy, you got to cherish those fans. You in the middle of a war. Lost your mind?
tier performer, which Kendrick clearly has solidified that title with just how good and attention demanding his halftime show was for those who didn't know already. Again, so clearly there are just levels to all of this, and when you see this group alongside Kendrick, which features such big names who are synonymous for being amazing performers, just don't even let Drake and OVO even try to have a say over what is the highest and most impressive level of performances that you can do, because Drake can't even fill up arenas right now with big name artists because that's how bad things have gone for him. But more importantly than this, and with Drake's failures and the real impact we are seeing from Kendrick here, more than ever and on the highest level of what shows success and impact possible, there is so clearly a tier and group that Drake will never be able to be in because he is so bad as a performer and Kendrick is obviously so comfortably here now based on what we are seeing. And even though Drake has failed so much, I do wonder how him and his fans are going to try to spin Kendrick's success this time, even when they see how good of a turnout Kendrick has for these shows, because really, they won't be able to get these jokes off about Kendrick's numbers being fake more than they already can now. And I am sure with the way they are going to try and reach and call these things a failure, it's really going to be the most desperate and funny.
All right, bro, we capping a little bit too much, so I gotta kind of, I would say this is a beautiful thing for Kendrick right now because him selling out numbers and all this stuff, no matter what the finding is within this discovery by Drake, which I find is nutty, in hip hop. I feel like he should have handled this on the microphone because this is unprecedented and it sets a bad precedent for future MCs. You get what I'm saying? Like, nobody went to the law or lawyers. Like, Cannabis really could have beat LL Cool J if he could have beat him. That's okay. And Def Jam would have took a big loss, but that would have been okay. We would have been like, all right, cool. All right, it is what it is. Bro lost. He was singing all them love songs and all that. I need love and all that. LL, you should have been worried about Cannabis. That's what we would have said. Even though we love LL, but for the culture, that's what it is. You feel me? That just is what it is. So I feel like this sets a bad precedent. I think it's a beautiful thing that he sold out his tour because it's gonna further prove that he is exactly who he is, and he's not a plant. You get what I'm saying? Like they're trying to paint this narrative. I can tell you what they're gonna try to paint over the next month after this discovery. I believe he gets the discovery within the next week. Um, Over this next month, they're gonna release the discovery and they're gonna try to paint Kendrick as a plant. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna try to make it seem like he's not supposed to be where he is. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna paint the picture of what happened. They're gonna paint the picture of Drake's contract. They're gonna paint the picture of how his contract was up last year and there was talks about renewing the contract, how that contract got shelved, and how he chose not to re-sign with UMG. And he's going to paint a picture of how it was mighty funny how all the funneling then went to another artist and none of it went to Drake. That's what he's going to paint. I'm telling you right now. All right. If SSS for you is being pushed, I checked this. I know a few things, and UMG isn't pushing that album. Yeah, this was the final album on his UMG deal. And a lot of times, not even a lot of times, almost every time, when it's your last album on the deal and you're ready to go get a distribution deal, you want to put your team on or something like that, your label ain't pushing that album. They not pushing an album that you're going to be low-key promoting yourself on. No, they ain't doing that. So what Drake did was he didn't want to take a step back. So he put PartyNextDoor on the album, got PartyNextDoor to sign with Sony, and Sony's pushing the album for him while keeping him afloat. Did y'all follow me through all that? Cause I promise sometimes I gotta pause these videos because I actually know what's going on. And I just don't want to get y'all the cat. You get what I'm saying? We don't want to over sensationalize stuff just for views. We want to, just still keep some truth in it because we got people that follow the page and follow the movement. And some of these reaction videos, they just be saying a lot of stuff. So we want to keep that truth in it. And I want to be a channel that y'all look to where I'll have my opinions and I'm gonna stand on my side and I'm gonna stand on it. Y'all already know. If it came to Diddy, I stand on it. If it came to Drake, how I was feeling about him, I actually was his #1 fan. But when everything came to me, I couldn't respect it, and then I started disrespecting it. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not a liar, and we not gonna be liars on this channel. So we got to keep it with the real. All right, and I am the realest in hip hop. Speaking on hip hop, it is what it is. All right, so it's your boy What's Up G. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe. How y'all feel about this? How y'all feel about this discovery going forward? Because it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna get sticky, and the story is going to be painted exactly how I said it. All right, it's your boy What's Up G. If ain't nobody told you they love y'all, I love y'all. I'm out, y'all. It's gonna be a sticky one.